1:15, we're called meeting back to order. At this time, I'm going to invite Mary Martha to come forward.
Thank you for your time this afternoon. Before you for consideration, you have the proposal for decision in the matter of Elevate RX. For procedural history, Elevate RX holds pharmacy license 31919, which was issued in March 2018. On June 14, 2023, the proposal for decision was issued by an administrative law judge with the State Office of Administrative Hearings in the matter of the contested case of Texas State Board of Pharmacy versus Elevate RX. On the next day, June 15th, staff filed exceptions to this proposal for decision, requesting amendments to a couple of the findings of fact to correct some incorrect dates and to also correct a mischaracterization of fact. The ALJ, or administrative law judge, did agree with staff's exceptions and amended the proposal for decision accordingly. The ALJ found by a preponderance of the evidence that Elevate RX violated the Act and board's rules by ceasing to operate as a pharmacy for 30 days or longer. At the hearing, staff presented evidence that the pharmacy only dispensed 2 prescriptions from November 13th, 2021 to July 29th, 2022, and put on the expert testimony of compliance staff who testified that that was not enough to constitute regular routine pharmacy business as required by the rule. So consistent with the ALJ's recommendation, board staff is asking the board to issue a board order revoking the license of Elevate RX as authorized by 565.051 of the Act. And this is also consistent with the recommendation of the informal conference panel and the administrative law judge. Staff has also prepared that board order reflecting the recommendation and is urging the board to adopt that order today. Thank you.
Right, and just so that everybody has had the ability to look at it, don't treat your disciplinary orders in that separate file. You can see in the 8.1 is a separate file. Are there any questions for Mary Martha? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to revoke their license to adopt
the order as proposed by staff.
the orders.
Do we have a second? All right, so we have a motion and a second to revoke the license and have the orders as prepared by staff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very Martha. All right, that leads us to G.2.
So as you know, G.2 is a report on all of the orders that have been entered by Julie or by Julie, Jenny, and Ian, or just, I guess, of this group, just Julie, Jenny, and Ian. Under the failure to operate statute, these are the ones that you have authorized them to enter. This item does not need a vote, it's just for your information. And if you don't have any questions on these, we will move to our next item. Next up, we have G.3 and G.4. G.3 are the proposed agreed board orders and default orders. G.4 are the proposed remedial plans. These include both orders and remedial plans resulting from informal conferences and those proposed by mail per your previous instructions. You'll notice the orders resulting from an informal conference. The chart indicates the board members that were at that informal conference. If you participated in the informal conference, we will automatically recuse you from that vote. And unless you have any questions about these, we would need a motion to approve the proposed agreed board orders and default orders and the proposed remedial plans. So that's both items G.3 and G.4.
Second. Donna has made a motion to approve. Don has seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. there is no need for G.5, so we will go on to H.1. All right, so at this time, we will have our election of vice president and treasurer. And at this point, we'll start with vice president. I'll look for nominations.
What can I write down?
If any other nominations? All right, seeing that there is only one nomination, all those in favor of Donnie Lewis being vice president, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, I will now entertain nominations for treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Rick.
We have a nomination of Rick Fernandez as treasurer by Jenny Yoakum. Do we have any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, all those in favor of Rick Fernandez as treasurer, please signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Donnie and Rick, as our new vice president and treasurer.
Acceptance speeches.
We do thank, we do want to thank Donna, and Suzette as being this year's vice president, and treasurer. And then. So the next thing is, to see if there are any, items that we would like to see put on the agenda for the November 7th board meeting.
Julie, could we get a report on that issue with the licenses being issued incorrectly? The recalls of that and the issue with the new license that I am aware of, right, but then the person received the report.
So to give a little background, we had kind of a glitch in the system where we had a person that they could see that that a license had been issued, and then when they went and they printed it, and when they went back, it wasn't there, and not all the data had gone through. So we can look to see if we can have a report.
I think it would be good to have like a root cause analysis, or, I mean, I understand there's a glitch in the system,
Right.
but I'm wondering if there is something systematically that can be put in place so that doesn't occur moving forward. And as she was told, there were 200 licenses. How does the person who reported to her?
Not sure if that's accurate, but I'll double check.
I think it would just be good. I think when we have an error like that it's such. I mean, to me, that's a pretty extreme. I think it would be good to do recall. See what we can do to avoid.
So what was the issue? It was an issue
We
and
can't
available, but then when they went back, it was on. Go too far into this, so all we can talk about right now is putting this on the agenda for next. It's not actually.
And then I think it was brought up by someone in the audience asked if we could look at, there's a situation where in some of these mental health facilities where they do drug administration, and they have to observe the patient after the clinic is closed, and whether or not we can look at having kits available for them. So I'm not sure whether or not it's something that can be done, but we'll look to see what we can do with that. Any other items? Okay, then the next is just a recap of agency activities. Just so you know, we've kept up the weekly meetings with all the directors and the teams You know, that has proven to be really a very valuable, tool. It's allowed us to, you know, find, you know, as we've talked about in the past, some of those areas where we can collaborate, and, you know, fill needs from one department to the next. You know, we continue to meet all of our metrics. And you heard from the audit team, that, you know, the agencies really continue to do well. So that's definitely going on and continuing. Wanted to make mention of the fact that Rick Fernandez, Donna, and myself were all asked to be on NEVP task force. Ian was asked to be an alternate for one. So, you know, as those occur, we'll get some reports out. I did want to ask Caroline to introduce Sean to us. Come around.
Introduce and reintroduce Sean McBride. Sean has been with, in the Dallas area as a field investigator for the board for the past 5 years. And July 1st, he is now been promoted and he is the investigation commander. So he'll be overseeing all of the investigations for the field. So we're excited for him to be in the role. We're happy to present him to you all at the meeting as he stepped up into this very important position for the board. And I have a little bit of background that I can share with you about Sean. He has a very impressive background, and we're very fortunate to have brought him on when he came in 2018, and you know, I think that's very exciting. So Sean is a graduate from Stephen F. Austin University, and like he joined CSUP back in 2018. Before he joined us, well, also continue with that, he also completed the LEMET program, which is the Leadership Command College at the Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas, and that's run through CSUP State. If you're familiar with that program, it's very prestigious. So he's a proud graduate of that as well. He has 32 years of law enforcement experience, master Texas peace officer, and he has certifications from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement as crime prevention specialist and inspector, as school-based law enforcement officer and instructor. Served 26 years with the Cleveland Police Department and retired as lieutenant and a patrol shift commander. And he's held numerous roles in this law enforcement career that are a benefit to our investigations.
Pretty much in a nutshell.
We are
It's not
very,
that prestigious, really.
we are very, very happy to have you in this position, and we really want to congratulate you.
Well, thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, if you look, next on the agenda is I.3. We do have informal conferences coming up. So, September 19th through the 21st, and then October 10th through the 12th. Amy through Lily have provided us with the 2024 IT calendar. You know, if you can see where we can kind of fill in the blank. We may be able to move some things around for those that have signed up for more than a couple, but it'll be good to have names in place on those. We do have our next board meeting on November the 7th. So please make sure that's on your calendar. Also coming up in October, District 6, 7, and 8. I've sent out a communication on that. That's a great meeting to really kind of interact with other boards, see what's going on in other states. So, you know, be aware of that. And then we do have next on the agenda, I.4. And we want to recognize, those of us that, whose terms will come to an end at the end of this month. Even though Donnie was initially part of this group, he was reappointed after his first year. But he is serving, his current term, but of that, Daniel Guerrera, Rick Fernandez, Lori Pinkey, and myself. So we wanted to recognize that. Lori is retiring and moving. So we want to, and she is not seeking reappointment. So we did want to make sure that we recognize Lori. Thanks for her service, all you have done. And to show our appreciation, we have a plaque that says, "In appreciation for your dedication and outstanding service for the Texas State Board of Pharmacy and the citizens of Texas." All right. With that, I will turn it over to Megan for J.1.
Hey, everyone. If you click on J.1, you are going to see an excerpt of the General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 24 and 25. And if you scroll down to the second page of it, highlighted in yellow, you will see the line item for the executive director. So this is out of HB1, and it turns into the General Appropriations Act, and it's our appropriations that the legislature has provided us. So the legislature has authorized the executive director's salary for fiscal year 2024 to be up to $148,923. And for fiscal year 25 to be up to $156,336. This tracks 5% for the first year and then another 5% for the second year. It's similar to what state employees got this time around from the legislature. However, the board, you all are the ones who set the executive director's salary. So if you do want to raise the salary for fiscal year 24 and 25, you'll need to vote to do so.
So at this time, I will ask for a motion to accept these increases.
I would move to accept the increases for the executive director salary.
We have a motion from Lori,
I'll
we have
second.
a second from Rick Tisch. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That will pass. Our last point of the agenda is review and approval of recommendations from the executive director search committee. At this time, we do not have a recommendation to bring forward. We're still in the process. We met yesterday and a decision was made that we would reevaluate the candidates to look for a second round interview. So we wanted to let you know that we do not have a candidate at this point. What we will likely end up doing is, calling of course, will be in accordance with all the open rules, open meeting rules, and an additional meeting prior to November. I'll come to Austin for it. And then we'll have everybody else, we'll be able to be virtual. But at that time, we'll bring forth the candidate.
Jimmy, is there any way that we could think about maybe going out to post again? Is that something that's, I don't know who the counties are, and I'm not in that committee, but is there any way we could maybe open it up for another month or two, a month or 6 weeks? Or is that something what do you think?
I'll let Megan give you the legal
So as you know, the state of Texas has a lot of rules about what you can and can't do. In order to open it up again, you have to close out the current one and start fresh with a new one. So yes, that is a possibility, but you would have to close out this first one and then open it up and do a new one. So if you wanted to consider applicants that had applied previously, they would have to apply again under the new job listing.
Because in a lot of this new salary, there might be others that you might grab, I don't know. I'm just thinking it might not be a bad thing to look at that.
Yeah, and we kind of discussed that yesterday. You know, our thought was we really wanted to invite some candidates back for a second interview, and that at that point, we would be able to have a better answer for you as to what.
But
we
if
thought on
those did not fit what you're thinking, we would be starting over again anyway, is that right? We don't have to choose from them.
You are not required to choose from, you could close this out and post again. You are not required to choose one of these applicants. That is always an option for you.
You have a good pool of candidates right now, or you're not at liberty to say?
I didn't hear your question.
Oh, do you have a good pool of candidates right now? Or would you prefer to hold off on that statement?
We did have some quality individuals apply.
Okay.
So the second interviews, second round, would you say these people, they made it to the second round kind of thing, or they just happen to be the one that are left, and you're picking from that? You know what I'm saying?
This would be their second time coming in. So everyone who accepted an interview has been interviewed. So these would be people coming in for a second additional interview.
So technically, you have qualified people that could be picked because they made it to the second.
They need the qualifications they're posting.
Dana has a question.
I'm just curious if this conversation would be better suited in executive session. Would we have a little bit more flexibility to talk about those details of,
If you want to talk about a particular candidate, you could potentially go into executive session.
which I don't have
If
any,
you want to get legal advice, you could go into an executive session, but if we're just talking about position in general, we can't go. into
got it, okay, thank you.
So this new salary takes place September first phase.
And what was the original that had been posted? What was the additional?
43,000.
I found.
5,000.
Oh,
So at this point, the next time that we'll be able to have a discussion without a special call meeting would be November. And so the likelihood, was trying to think, projecting out, is February potentially well, unless we call a special meeting February, looking at being able to identify the finals.
I think the plan is to most likely call a special.
Okay.
Regardless of, what happens with the interviews, is to have a special meeting between now and
And
November.
November. Excellent.
And let the panel who's heard the interview give you their recommendation, whether that be put forth a candidate, post new, whatever. Have a special meeting for that, so that we're not waiting.
I like that. Thank you.
Any other? All right, seeing no other items on our agenda, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Board has made the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Craig, Donnie, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.